And also, just to put something on your heart and mind for this week, we are in a season, at least in the US, where things are getting pretty difficult politically, societally, and then that means emotionally and mentally for many of us. And I want you guys to think about something that is still happening. And I'm going to be careful with the way that I word things just because of the platforms that I am streaming to so that they do not shadow ban this video or take it down for the language that I am using. I'm not trying to curse anyone out. It's just that when talking about unaliving someone or committing acts of violence against other people or yourselves, those things, certain words can be banned. Okay, so but what I want to talk to you guys about today is suicide rates and people either self harm, meaning things like cutting or harming themselves mentally, physically, emotionally in different ways of that. And I am also talking about committing suicide, unaliving oneself. And because I'm very passionate about understanding and educating on this because I have missed the signs and cues in my life before, even as a therapist. Now, this happened in my personal life where I missed it because I wasn't actually paying close attention to what was being said. But I don't want to miss it in my professional life, and I don't want any of you to miss it. I don't want others to miss it in you if you are the one who is experiencing these types of thoughts and symptoms. So, one thing I want to talk to you guys about is, of course, we know that there is depression, but you don't always know when someone is technically or medically depressed. You might just notice that they're sad a lot, like for a prolonged amount of time. If someone is sad for longer than 2 weeks, and they're not grieving the loss of someone, or there is not a reason that you can see that they would be sad for this amount of time, after 2 weeks, that should start to be of concern to you, whether it's you or whether it's someone else. So if I'm talking to you, if you have been experiencing prolonged sadness, over 2 weeks of sadness, then I am concerned for you. You are about to tip over into depression, and someone that you might be watching may be on the verge of tipping into that place. And whenever someone is in a place of depression or a prolonged sadness, there is also always a slight risk of becoming suicidal. So you want to understand, and the best thing that I can tell you guys as we jump into this is that directness is key. I know many times we're afraid to use certain words to people because we think that if we say the word, then we're going to give them the idea to do those things. But really, that's not the case. If someone is already thinking of taking themselves out, nothing you can say will put that into their minds because it's already there. And so, what you want to say is, are you thinking of now? Again, I'm going to be very careful with how I say it, but I want you to be as direct as you can. You want to ask them point blank, are you thinking about unaliving yourself? Yes, it may sound shocking and jarring, but in this instance, it's almost what you want to do so that they know that you know. Often, when someone is in that place where they're considering taking themselves off this earth, they think that people don't know. They're also in the frame of mind where they don't think that people care. So that's why they don't know that they're thinking these things. So when you use a direct approach, yes, it may be jarring. Yes, it may be shocking, but you're also letting the person know, hey, I know, I see you, and I'm just checking. I'm asking you point blank, is this something that you're thinking about? So that's my first and biggest key. Let the person know that you know by asking the direct question. Are you considering, are you thinking about unaliving yourself, taking yourself off this earth? You can use different words. I'm just being careful because I'm on a public platform. Okay. But you know what I'm saying. Ask the question directly because you want to walk away from the conversation knowing that you took the right actions, that you did everything you could to let the person know that you know and that you care about them. The next thing is no matter what they say, whether they say yes or no, you want to let them know that you are there. You may not be the one that can literally help them, but you can walk with them while they find the help that they need. If they're telling you yes, then they need emergency care. So that's taking them to an emergency room, the nearest place that you can find. If they're already in therapy, that is also contacting their therapy. But your first option, well, maybe it's not even an option, your first thing to do if they say yes is to get them emergency help. If they give you any kind of no, I don't know, kind of thinking about it, that may not be as much as an emergency that where you may not need to call 911 or get them to the ER immediately, but it is someone who now needs to be kind of watched. Are they going to tip over into that space where now they are in an emergency situation? Now you want to walk them. Do you want to talk to a counselor? Do you want to talk to me? Do you want to talk to a pastor, a mentor, somebody, a parent? If this is a young person, a parent, a teacher, someone that they can talk to that will listen, first of all, not judge them, and then get them the help that they need. But it first starts with asking the question. If you see the person, ask the question. If you're the person, tell somebody straight out, I'm thinking about harming myself. I am thinking about unaliving myself. I am thinking about taking myself out, and I'm serious about it. If you want help, use those words. Shock the person. Okay? Just say it because we want to help you. I don't want you to continue walking around thinking that no one cares. Often it appears that no one cares because they really don't know. They don't see it. And in the climate that we're living in right now in the world, everybody is going through something. And so we may not be as keen to another person's issue because we're struggling so deeply ourselves. But if you say something, we want to help you. Okay. So if that's you, I'm talking to you. If that's somebody that you have seen, it could be a coworker, guys, anybody that you're around. It could be family, it could be someone at your church. Often people walk into the church in desperation. And so if you see somebody walk into the church that doesn't look like they have been doing well for a while, ask the question. Yes, again, it may shock them, but trust me, you would rather know straight out than not know and guess and have find out a week later that that person is no longer here when you thought to ask the question, you just didn't. You'd rather ask, you'd rather be safe than sorry in this instance. Okay? So listen, if you see somebody, again, going back to those signs, if you see somebody who you know who has appeared to be sad for longer than 2 weeks, that would be prolonged sadness. And especially if there doesn't seem to be an obvious reason why they would be sad, if they haven't lost a loved one, if they haven't lost a job. Now, loss, remember, grief and loss doesn't have to mean that somebody is gone. It could be a loss of anything, a loss of a home, a vehicle, a child, a job. Anything that causes loss may cause that kind of prolonged sadness. So when I say something obvious, think of all of those things. And if all else fails, again, just ask the question. It doesn't hurt you to find out, and it doesn't hurt them to ask the question when they know somebody is watching, somebody cares, somebody is thinking of them. Okay. Another sign it would seemingly be on the flip side of depression. It might be anxiety, like severe anxiety, someone who is afraid of everything all the time. It may be that person that you're looking at. and you're saying, wow, they're very anxious. They're always afraid. They can't leave the house, or when they leave the house, they're on high alert, hyper vigilant, always looking around. Someone who is severely on the anxious end is also at risk of self harm. So it's not just the depressive symptoms. If you have noticed someone who is experiencing or expressing these sort of severe looking anxiety symptoms for a prolonged period of time over 2 weeks. Let me just say that. If you've seen them one week and they were in this state, and then you see them the next week and they're still in this state, even if they have actually gone in and out of it, it was just that you saw them in that state a couple of times, still ask the question. It's again, it's better to be safe than sorry, because it is sometimes easy to miss. Again, we're all going through something. And the person might just tell you, no, I'm afraid of losing my job because of AI. And, they may tell you what the situation is, and that's perfectly fine. At least now someone else knows, someone else is listening, and that's perfect. I still want you to ask them if they want help finding a counselor or whatever kind of support that they need. Support is the biggest thing. Also, for most of us, at least here in the United States, you can have access to the crisis hotline. You can have crisis, people who will help with these things. If you have a counselor, ask your counselor for some resources. If you don't, then find one. Have people around you who are able to get resources. You don't have to be the one always to have all the answers. You don't need all the answers. You just need to find someone who can help you. And that's one of the other biggest things, resources. Find a church, find someone who is very resourceful, but find someone to talk to. Do not stay out there and try to do this on your own. And if you run into a person who you feel like is in trouble emotionally, mentally, to the point where they might hurt themselves, you walk with them, but then you find another person. You don't take this all on yourself and try to help that person all by yourself. That's heavy. That's a lot. Because if you put yourself in that situation, you then might become the person who becomes depressed or anxious, trying to carry that burden, that heaviness. Okay? So I want you guys to remember there is always help. There is a crisis hotline, and I'm probably going to drop that information in the description or come back and pin it in the comment section so you guys can have that information. But just remember, ask the question, be direct. Don't let that person walk away knowing or feeling like nobody cared because nobody asked. And if that person is you, I'm asking right now for you to get help. There is help. There are people that care. Don't stay out there by yourself and try to handle the things that are going on in our country if you're in the US, but there are other parts of the world. So, whatever part of the world that you're in watching this video, there is help for you. Find the help that you need. You don't have to take yourself out. You don't have to do it if you really want to live. And I hope that you will live. Okay? Well, this is all that I want to say to you guys this week. I wish you a blessed week. And until I see you again, be blessed. Take care. Be proactive about your mental health.